Hello again, whiskey friends. Back in September of 2025, we got to check one off the bucket list. Going in person down there in Austin to do a single barrel pick with Nancy herself. Absolute dream of an experience. But did it turn into a dream whiskey? Stick around and find out. So thank you for joining, whiskey friends. Let's kick off the show. All right. So this is going to be the tasting note companion to anyone that gets our single barrel that will be dropping essentially any day right now as of recording. So keep an eye out for news on the official release. This is coming in at 110 proof and will be available on shared pour for $79.99. The exciting thing about this is that the age statements on these are starting to get up there. This was laid down in June of 2018, bottled October of 2025, making this a 7-year product, not indifferent from the Bottle and Bond release that also came out around that same window back in September. At the end of this, I will be doing a quick comparison to the 7-year Bottle and Bond as well. Given its similarity in proof and age, I think it'll make for a good comparison. There's something about the flavor profile that I do think is similar, but I want to learn that today. Now, with this single barrel, it's always interesting when you pick these things. You never know when they're going to get bottled, but it does say it was dumped back in October, which makes it very, very similar then to the exact profile of when we picked it just a few weeks prior. Sometimes these things can sit in the barrel for an extra 6 months or so, and you don't even know what they're going to taste like. You just hope that you did the right thing, picking something oily, viscous with a nice finish, and then that carries through, regardless if it picks up a bit more age. So we're going to go through the nose and the palate on this one, do a little bit of comparison to the Bottle and Bond, and have some final thoughts. Oh, and this is a collaboration pick, by the way, between Hello Again Whiskey Friends, Dusty Dan, Rifting Drams, and the Bourbon Wrench Rev. For the sticker, we went for a bit of a Lord of the Rings theme here. I had to make myself the Gollum character. I felt too bad putting someone else's face on that. But the reason behind this theme was during the pick experience, Christian and Nancy from Still Austin were going through this imaginary scenario where they really wanted to start aging whiskey in caves. And then they started dancing around the barrels like they were cave trolls. Real story, thus inspiring the theme of the sticker, the precious cave whiskey. So let's get into the nose here for this fresh tasting. Man, am I really excited to get back into the nose. Even what this glass is doing in my environment before I put it up to my nose, it is giving off some amazing flavors. Huge standout on this one. I mean, on the nose, the immediate impression I get, and I got this at the tasting as well, is the unique sweet oak profile, where it almost comes across as a bourbon from a different era with a little bit of a dusty note to it. Next to all that sweet oak is also a dark cherry, but then there are all of these other fruit elements that continue to pop up, even getting different berries like blueberries, but then there's a citrus note as well. This is high rye, and I get like a little bit of an orange or even like a tangerine, more specifically. There's also a nice spice profile on this one, white pepper and clove. And then there is this sweet breadiness as well. I'd almost equate it to powdered sugar being on top of a chocolate muffin. So yes, get all of that different layers on the nose. I could pick this one apart for like an hour. Before we go into the taste here, once again, looking forward to this one. Just an absolutely oily whiskey here. And it really translates well to that nice mouthfeel that we're just about to talk about. So cheers, everybody. Let's get into this one. Oh, incredible mouthfeel. This is going to be one of my favorite single barrels that we've ever come out with, by the way. Oh, that was amazing. So up front, it leads off with a little bit of this brightness, mainly defined as those fruits I was describing, the cherry, the tangerine. Honestly, I think it even gets a little brighter than that, maybe even into a little lemon gelato when it comes to that bright, fruity citrus. But then it settles and brings in that chocolate. Now, the chocolate profile I get from this one, I associate more with French oak. It almost gives me a devil's food cookie or even like a devil's dog cake. That type of rich chocolate, even distinguished separately from the oak profile that we'll talk about. On its transition to mid-palate, the oak on this thing, that sweet, dusty oak, just explodes all over the palate. Such an amazing singular note, all in and of itself. But it still sits there side by side with those chocolate flavors and those fruit flavors. But the balance between the chocolate, the cakiness there with that devil's food cookie or devil's dog cake, and the oak and the fruits definitely make the mid palate stand out. Probably next to the nose, the strongest part of this whiskey is going to occur mid palate. All right. Let's get into the finish now because the finish is interesting as well. So, one thing I talked about with Durrell was how long of a finish it is, even though it's not relying on the proof to deliver that finish. And as you get to the finish, too, what's very interesting, I mean, that oak profile is still the main event, but it doesn't take center stage on the finish. It actually takes a little bit of a step back and it lets the brightness of those fruits shine through, but it also allows the spice level that we talked about a little bit on the nose with the white pepper, the clove, that begins to emerge more on the tail end of the finish, even getting into where I am now. Solid 30 seconds, 60 seconds later. And then when it's all said and done, you just get to enjoy that oak profile again. The main event on this one, despite it being 7 years, drinking beyond its age statement, and it's got a different oak profile that reminds me of an entirely different era of bourbon. Absolutely gorgeous. If you are familiar with some of our barrel picks, I was even talking to Rel, like, I imagine this being almost a blend of the Divine Dram, which was a 36% MGP coming out of copper and cask. That was about 8 years. Blend that with our Sergeant Slaughter Weeder coming from Evernorth Spirits. But there's similarities between those prior single barrels. And if you've had those, you know we talk very, very fondly about those two picks. So for me, talking about this one in that class means there's something special going on in this particular bottle. And without a doubt, my favorite Still Austin single barrel that I've had thus far. Just get to have the honors of being the ones that picked it. So big thank you to Nancy for always supporting everything that we do here. It was certainly a memory of an experience that'll last a lifetime. Before a quick comparison here, let's see how similar these two are with the Bottle and Bond release. It just so happens that this Bottle and Bond release came out when we were in Austin. Man, the Bottle and Bond is gorgeous. Highly recommend this one if you aren't able to get your hands on our single barrel. The oak profile isn't as deep on the Bottle and Bond, but that fruit has a lot of similarities there on the nose. Let's go in for a taste. Killer mouthfeel. It's got some good, nice, sweet oak on it as well. Similar fruits again, similar spice range. Not as much of that chocolate that I was talking about on the single barrel. Man, that is gorgeous whiskey though. I mean, these two pours in my hands right now might be my favorite two Still Austins thus far, minus the Tanager, though I haven't gotten my hands on my own bottle of that. Gosh, going back to the single barrel, the comparison between these two makes the oak profile on this even more stand out and special. Yeah, some similar beats in the profile, though each individual beat I think is stronger in that single barrel too. Love that pour. I'm going to be head over heels about this one. If you get your hands on it, let me know what you think of it in the comments. And if you want news about future barrel picks, be sure to join our Patreon or our free Facebook group. And just remember, while you can always find more whiskey, you can never have enough whiskey friends. So take care of those around you, and we will catch you on the next one. Goodbye, everybody.